And welcome to Tuesday, this March 19th. And no matter where, when, or how you're watching, hopefully Power Up finds you well. And hopefully you had a wonderful time, wonderful day yesterday. And we're going to get into Daniel chapter number 3 this morning. So would encourage you to get your Bibles out and let's go ahead and turn to Daniel chapter number 3. Let me just remind you, don't forget tomorrow. We've got services tomorrow night, 6 o'clock. Hope that you can be here for that. We'll have a full complement of ministries Wednesday or tomorrow night with our youth ministry, our young people's ministry, our adult Bible study, and look forward to that. So hopefully you can make it out to our services tomorrow, 6 o'clock. And then I do want to remind you, Sunday, we'll be celebrating Pastor Barnett's birthday. And we'll have our regular morning services. We'll have a luncheon, some birthday cake, and then we'll have an afternoon service this coming Sunday. So I hope that you'll be here for those services this coming Sunday and come ready to celebrate Pastor Barnett's birthday. Excited about that. Excited to celebrate with him, and he's just such a faithful man and an encouragement as well. All right, here we go. Let's look. Daniel chapter number 3. Hit that share button if you haven't done so already, so that others can jump on here for our live and then even our recorded version later on our other platforms as well. All right, Daniel chapter number 3. We're getting into a whole nother, I guess, event in the timeline here of Daniel, and this involves the king, Nebuchadnezzar. It also involves our 3 friends that we were introduced to as well. So let's look at Daniel chapter 3, verse number 1. Nebuchadnezzar the king made an image of gold, whose height was 60 cubits, and the breadth thereof 6 cubits. You remember the length of a cubit is from the elbow to the tip of the finger. There would have been a cubit, and so this is quite a statue, being at 60 cubits. 60 being some 60 some feet probably, and it's and the breadth thereof 6 cubits, and so that being the cubit size being roughly 18 inches, I guess we'll put it that way, and then these 60 cubits would have been 60 or so cubits. And you can multiply that by approximately 16 to 18 inches. That would tell you about how tall that was. And then also tell you about how wide that was, being 6 cubits wide. So this is quite a statue, and quite impressive to look at, I'm sure. He set it up in the plain of Dura, in the province of Babylon. Now, let's just kind of go back for just a second. You remember in chapter number 2, Nebuchadnezzar has this dream, right? This dream that he's struggling to find the meaning of. Daniel tells him the meaning of, and it's a statue made of different things, gold and so on, gold and the like. It gets all the way down to clay and iron down at the bottom, and there's some brass and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so there's that statue. That statue we know gets destroyed. And Nebuchadnezzar being gold, the top of that statue, and it being destroyed and swept away. And there's no remaining remnants of that statue. And then we find here in chapter 3 that Nebuchadnezzar makes a statue. Okay, now, don't necessarily, or an image, don't necessarily have a problem with the image, with the statue that's being made right now. We have statues and images that are made in our country. I think of the Statue of Liberty and other monuments that we might see. Okay, and on their face, on the face, there's not anything wrong with that. But I want you to know what happens here, verse number 2. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king sent to gather together the princes, the governors, and the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces to come to the dedication of the image which Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. And so Nebuchadnezzar organizes and rounds up everybody of the who's who in Babylon, everybody in authority and leadership, calls them in to unveil and to dedicate this statue, this image, which happens when we do that when new buildings, new facilities, new images, statues, and that we would have a dedication, and even in our circles, we have a prayer of dedication over things as well. Let's look verse number 3. Then the princes, the governors, the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces were gathered together unto the dedication of the image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. And they stood before the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. So everybody is gathered now, and they're ready for this dedication of this image here in verse number 4. Look at what it is. Then a herald cried aloud, "To you it is commanded, O people, nations, and languages." And so this herald cries to all those that are gathered. And here's the command that has come down from the king. That at what time he hear the sound of the cornet, the flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music, he shall fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king hath set up. Like, what? What's going on here? And so Nebuchadnezzar has made this image that would be a likeness of himself. He's made this, and he's called all these people in, and when the music begins to play, they are to worship the golden image. Now, look back at chapter number 2 for just a minute. Chapter number 2, we find verse number 46. After Daniel has given the interpretation of the dream that Nebuchadnezzar has had, and rightfully given the interpretation, we find in verse number 46, then the king Nebuchadnezzar fell upon his face and worshipped Daniel. Now, Daniel, he should not have worshipped Daniel. Daniel tried to give honor and glory to whom it was due, and that's to God. It says, it commanded they should offer an oblation and sweet odors unto him. The king answered unto Daniel and said, of a truth it is that your God is a God of gods, and a Lord of kings, and a revealer of secrets, seeing thou couldst reveal this secret. And so Nebuchadnezzar recognizes that God is the God of gods, that he is the Lord of kings. Okay, now it's important. He recognized that Daniel's God is the God of gods. He doesn't say that he is the one and only God. Okay, and I think that's something to differentiate here. He doesn't say that Daniel's God's the only God. He says he's the God of gods. He is supreme amongst the other gods. Okay, and then we come here, and he's got all these people gathered around this statue, this image of himself, and has them bowing down and worshiping this image. There's a disconnect here, I think, in Nebuchadnezzar's mind. He has just, a short while ago, recognized that Daniel's God is the God of gods, and now he's having everybody bow down and worship this image. Now, go back to chapter number 2 in your mind. We won't take the time to go all the way back. But do you remember the interpretation of the dream? I guess we go back. We got a little bit of time here. In chapter 2 and verse number 31, Daniel gives this interpretation. Thou, O king, sawest to behold a great image. Okay, this was a sight to behold. This great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before thee, and the form thereof was terrible, or it was incredible to see. It was a powerful sight. This image head was of fine gold. Okay, remember that. The image head was of fine gold. Verse number 36, this is the dream. We will tell the interpretation thereof. Thou, verse 37, O king, art a king of kings, for the God of heaven hath given thee a kingdom of power and strength and glory. And wheresoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field, the fowls of the heaven, hath he given into thine hand, hath made thee ruler over them. Thou art this head of gold. Okay, now, maybe in Nebuchadnezzar's mind, he's maybe had some time to think of it. Man, wow, the interpretation of that dream, my kingdom being number one, being that head of gold. Wow. And so what does he do? He makes this this image of gold, giving honor to himself and promoting himself and showing himself off to the princes and governors and so on, all those that have gathered. The herald comes out and says, hey, you need to do what I command you. That when the music begins to play, you're to fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king has set up. Now let's look at verse number 6, chapter 3 and verse number 6. And whoso, get this now, and whoso falleth not down and worshipeth shall the same hour be cast into the midst of a fiery furnace. And so there's the challenge. You must bow down, worship, or the fiery furnace is coming. This is a far cry from chapter number 2, where Nebuchadnezzar falls down and worship Daniel even, and recognize that Daniel's God is a God of gods and Lord of kings, revealer of secrets. I mean, the power of Daniel's God is truly incredible, but Nebuchadnezzar got full of himself, said, man, I'm the head of that statue. My kingdom's that golden part of that image. I'm the head of that. That's incredible. Hey, let's praise myself a little bit for how good I am. And then in verse number 7, therefore, at that time when the people heard the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and all kinds of music, all the people, the nations, the languages fell down and worshiped the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. And so maybe fearing for their lives, these people, knowing who Nebuchadnezzar was, and maybe even the threat of people losing their lives because they did not know the interpretation of Nebuchadnezzar's dream, they all bow down and worship. Except for 3 men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And we'll look at their response to the commands here by Nebuchadnezzar tomorrow. But I want to encourage us, and we'll look at this probably over the next day or so, just how easy these individuals were manipulated. How easy, and I can't speak to Nebuchadnezzar's heart, but it appears how quickly his heart and mind have shifted from recognizing Daniel's God as being God to now he has those in his kingdom, his country, bowing down and worshiping an image. And we find that all of these people, maybe out of fear, bow down and begin to worship this image. And we see how easily people can be manipulated. And I want to encourage you, we'll look at this next couple of days, as I said, encourage you to be like a Shadrach and Meshach and Abednego, and to stand up for truth, to stand up for what is right, even though maybe all those around us have fallen and begun to worship the world, the things that are of the gods of this world, rather than the God of the Bible, the one true God. And we find that these 3 men will stand up, they will be thrown into the fiery furnace, and God will once again prove and show that he is the God. And I'll look forward to looking over that over the next couple of days. Okay, all right. We'll end with that for this morning, and we'll finish out the account of this probably tomorrow. We'll see. It's rather lengthy, but maybe over the next 2 days. All right. Thank you for being on today. Let's look at who has commented here on Facebook, and we'll greet those, and then we'll move on, let you get on with your day there. But Cliff and Karen, good morning to you both. Have a wonderful day. David, good morning to you. Hope you have an awesome day. Brian and Cindy, good morning to you both. Have a great day. Ingrid, good morning to you. Love you. And we'll see you soon, hopefully. Lynette, good morning to you. Glad to have you on. It looks like you've got the sunshine there, so hopefully the weather down down south there is nice for you all, a little chilly up here. And Luke, good morning to you. Thank you for being on today as well, and I enjoy these studies as well. Lord bless you all. Have a great day. No matter where you're watching, what time you're watching, what platform you're watching on, thank you for being a part of our Power Up. Be sure to like, share, comment throughout. Love checking in and seeing those comments throughout the day. Have a great day, everybody. We'll touch base once again tomorrow.